Hey Spencer, so take a look at this opening shot from the 2010 adaptation of True Grit. Emerging from the darkness of a snowy night, amidst an almost irreproachable soundtrack by Carter Burwell, what we find is a body, dappled snowflakes. It's only freshly dead, but it's beginning to grow cold. It's a righteous man, who has been killed suddenly, violently. His killer, Tom Chaney, has run off like a dog, and justice must be done, but it hasn't been done yet. This is True Grit, the saga of a 14-year-old girl named Maddie Ross, who sought to avenge her father's death at the hands of a middling, low-profile outlaw. But what you're seeing on screen isn't quite that. It's an adaptation, but it's a damn good one. You see, directors Joel and Ethan Coen start strong on this adaptation, overlaying the entire opening sequence with Maddie's narration, direct quotes straight from the book. As Maddie's quarry flees into the night, the Coens impose a quote from Chapter 3 of the book to be the mantra for the entire film thereafter. Quote,
"You must pay for everything in this world one way and another. There is nothing free except the grace of God."
So, what happens next? The original True Grit, the novel by Charles Portis, is a story that Coen brothers actually grew up with. It reads a lot less like a cowboys versus Indian, rootin' tootin' wild western than it does an account of true crime on the Arkansas frontier, told through the eyes of a 14-year-old girl. While pretending to go to Fort Smith, Arkansas to simply close off her father's business dealings, Maddie Ross goes into town secretly hoping to instigate a manhunt to bring her father's killer to justice. On the way to this ultimate objective, she has personality clashes with every single character in the story, and it is hilarious, and crucially, it's what drives the plot forward. The story steeps the reader in a Western world just quirky enough to be real, full of these characters that are not archetypes but salty, sweaty, goofy figures that are really fun to watch in action. If a film adaptation mismanaged these amazing characters, it'd be doing itself a huge disservice. On this point, Ethan Coen says, quote, "We did it out of an enthusiasm for the novel. It's a story that takes place in the Arkansas narrative in the 1870s, and it does have people on horses, and it does have six guns, but it's not a genre novel, so I hope it's not a genre movie." What Ethan Coen means when he says a genre film is something like the John Wayne films of the 1950s, or the spaghetti westerns of the 1970s. Of films that have such a profound impact on the way Americans and the world view westerns. The Coen brothers didn't want to do that at all with True Grit. All they wanted to do is take words from the page, and put them on a big screen. If you watch the 1969 adaptation of True Grit, you'll see that it is a lot more of a John Wayne film than it is a Maddie Ross film. But, unfortunately for the story in that case, this is a Maddie Ross story, completely told from her point of view, and her point of view is loud. It's a hard-working, Calvinistic, did not make friends at VBS point of view, and that is exactly what is so funny about it. If you know anything about the Coen brothers, you know that they like to work in charismatic characters that are a little over the top. Well, Maddie Ross, Rooster Cogburn, LaBeef, and Tom Chaney in the original book are all these things. It's a cast of Coen brothers characters that are just asking to be used, if the adapters have the wherewithal to do so. And seeing as the Coen brothers grew up with this story, of course they would. Why wouldn't they? Spencer, let me walk you through some of the A-listers that are in this film and how the Coen brothers choose to use them. Jeff Bridges plays the role of Rooster Cogburn, an IP most famous from the 1969 adaptation. Fresh off of renewing his own legacy in Tron, Bridges now had to fit the chaps of the great John Wayne in the role John Wayne won Best Actor for. But Bridges, in collaboration with the Coens, does a much more faithful Rooster Cogburn than the 1969 movie. There's a level of douchiness to the Portis Cogburn that he manages to capture, a level of douchiness that audiences of the 60s probably weren't ready to handle. Bridges, on the other hand,
Stay here, sister. I don't see Bagby.
Josh Brolin's here as well as the coward Tom Chaney. And you'd think that the guy, fresh from coming off of No Country for Old Men, soon to be cast as the Mad Titan Thanos, would bring a lot of menace to any villain role he plays in. But that's just not true. True to the Portis Tom Chaney, Brolin plays him like a baby. A big baby. Because that's exactly who Tom Chaney is in the end.
One of my short ribs broken.
You killed my father when he was trying to help you. I have one of the gold pieces you stole from him. Now give me the other.
It's going right for me.
Ready?
And last but not least, Matt Damon is also here as the sharpshooting Texan LaBeef. And he's character acting just as strong as the rest of them, having made a graceful transition from a young Hollywood up-and-comer into a full-bodied honey-baked ham.
Why did you not catch him in Pine Bluff, Arkansas or Monroe, Louisiana?
He's a crafty one.
I thought him slow-witted myself.
That was his act.
In a Charlie Rose interview, Matt Damon describes Haley Steinfeld's performance as a miracle. She was 13 in this, playing a 14-year-old girl. Not only is Steinfeld's performance impressive in and of itself, but it also clarifies why Maddie Ross's character is needed in the first place. Now, with this 14-year-old girl in the mix of this manhunt story, every single manhunter and outlaw's decisions become much, much trickier, and that is incredibly fun to watch. It's worth noting that the Coens, in collaboration with Steinfeld, try to make sure that Maddie Ross still reads as a kid. Not some cynical, ardent ruffian raised in the streets, but more like the 14-year-old girl who's too opinionated that you don't want to sit next to in Sunday school. While the novel is chock full of Maddie Ross having interpersonal strife with others, we also do get plenty of downtime in which she just casually explains to the audience her opinions on the state of the criminal justice system, or where the Democratic Party is heading following the Civil War, or even occasionally like the tenets of Calvinism, which, okay, thanks, bro. And while, yes, a lot of these opinions are older Maddie Ross looking back as she recounts this story, a lot of the times Maddie Ross is telling us some really interesting, nuanced opinions on things as a way of getting through difficulty. Like when she starts telling the audience what Bible verses she was thinking to herself as she was in a horrifying situation and afraid for her life. Shoot, you know what, Spencer? I need a haircut. I'll be right back. Right. Where were we? Oh yeah, character design. A Coen Brothers movie's hallmark is pretty much a strong character design. Take Brant from The Big Lebowski, for example, played by the late, great Philip Seymour Hoffman.
That's marvelous.
Within a few seconds of him being on screen, you automatically know his deal. He's a weak man. He's a total pushover. At the same time, he still has some screen presence.
Her life is in your hands, dude. And report back to us as soon as it's done.
In True Grit, Stonehill is the exact same way, smirking and sniveling his way through a raw deal without having ever the courage to call Maddie's bluff.
Wait a minute. Are we trading again?
Take this line from the criminal lawyer Gowdy in the witness scene when he's interrogating Rooster Cogburn.
Never shot nobody that didn't have to.
Well, that was not the question. How many?
Shot or killed?
Let us restrict it to killed so that we may have a manageable figure.
And then take this line from Raising Arizona.
Everybody freeze. Everybody down on the ground.
Well, which is it, young feller? You want I should freeze or get down on the ground? Mean to say, if I freeze, I can't rightly drop. And if I drop, I'm going to be in motion. You see? Shut up!
These two characters' speech patterns are very similar and exaggerated, and it almost sounds like this farmer guy here is 100 years down the line of this lawyer Gowdy as some sort of direct descendant tilling the soil of the Arizona desert. Except, this criminal lawyer Gowdy, unlike many other Coen Brothers films' characters, is not written by Joel and Ethan Coen. All of his dialogue comes directly from a court transcript in the True Grit book. And that's what's so interesting about True Grit. It's all Portis dialogue, yet it sounds so Coenish, and it's, I think, because the boys grew up with this story. It makes me think that this story had an outsized impact in how the Coen brothers see character design. Having the script out before them in book form, what the Coens really had to do was find a way to translate the fullness of a literary moment onto a screen medium. For every exact quote that's pulled from the page and put into a character's mouth, there are just 10 more quotes from the book that couldn't make the cut and need to be expressed onto screen by way of setting and inflection, and even the emotional beats of Carter Burwell's excellent score.
That Chinaman is running them cheap shells on me again.
I thought you were going to say the sun was in your eyes. That is to say, your eye.
When the Coens do implant their own story beats or dialogue, it's to compellingly connect those A to B to C story beats without interrupting the film's flow, an obstacle which is just less of a problem in a novel, compared to the efficiency needed in a 2-hour film. A good example of strategizing a book adaptation's flow onto a film could be seen in Sam Gamgee's epic speech at the end of the Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers movie. In the book, Sam's speech is in an entirely different place, less concise, and a lot more casual. But for the sake of the medium, you can see that the writers adjusted the ligaments of their film adaptation so that the impact is in the same faith as the original.
But in the end, it's only a passing thing. The shadow. Even darkness must pass. A new day will come. And when the sun shines, it'll shine out the clearer. Those were the stories that stayed with you. That meant something. Even if you were too small to understand why.
I'm crying right now just thinking about it. As is hopefully evident, translating across mediums from a book to a film isn't an exact science, but there's an immense, long-lasting payoff for those who do it well, do it faithfully. Back to that shot at the beginning. Cinematographer Roger Deakins had originally planned for the sequence to be 3 to 4 separate cuts, but after some trial and error, he resolved on just leaving it at one long take onto the body of Frank Ross. In his words, quote, "Sometimes a period of one's life is so affecting it defines the entirety of it. For this scene, we wanted to create a picture book quality. It's her memory of what happened that night, so it's abstract." It's really hard for me to imagine this adaptation of True Grit without this one shot kicking the entire thing off. As a matter of fact, I was only reintroduced to this movie when I was at a college function with a friend and ended up showing him one of those cheesy compilations of cinematographer shots online. And I saw this one and then saw that it was a Roger Deakins shot and realized, wait a second, that one obscure Western I saw a few years ago, that's a Deakins movie? And then I ended up running home alone into the night so I could rewatch it. Not that I would do anything as nerdy as that nowadays. Well, the reason I think this film is worth studying and talking about at the end of the day is just because it's extraordinarily well made. And what's interesting about it is the marriage between the writers and the directors when it comes to assembling a good story that people can experience all around the world. It's almost like the creation of The Social Network, which was written by Aaron Sorkin and directed by David Fincher, two masterclasses in their own rights, coming together and creating a work that is just so rewatchable and so definitely movie that people will talk about it for a long, long time.
Is it surprising that the two of you are working together on this? I mean,
you know, at first glance, it's an unusual marriage of director and material. David is most known for being peerless as a visual director, and I write people talking in rooms.
Yes, it did.
True Grit is one of those films that just flew under the radar, I think. If you watch some of the trailers for this film before it came out, you'll see that it's a lot less Matty Ross, and it is a lot more of just the cultural memory of John Wayne shooting a lot of guns and running around with horses.
I will kill this girl! Biggest mistake you ever made.
Tell him that God's gonna cut you down.
Ultimately, that's not what this story is. It's a story about grit that happens to have all of those things. And the Coen brothers saw that, and the Coen brothers aimed to do that in their film. It's not some sort of rated G pastiche of all the events that happen, and it's also not an overly gritty rated R version either. It's Maddie's story, and ultimately, it's Maddie's story that keeps us coming back. Spencer, this has been fun. I'll see you next time. I'm crying right now just thinking about it. 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 I'm weeping right now just thinking about it. I'm crying right now just thinking about it. I'm sobbing right now just thinking about it. I'm sobbing right now just thinking about it.